Alright everyone, so welcome back to another video. So in the last video I covered the different tips and tricks that people can get into to go and make their trading card game. However, in this video I'm going to talk about a very important step to work on when you're in the beginning process. And this isn't about the brainstorming or any other major steps that I mentioned in the last video. This is something more physical, more concrete, which is in this video I'm going to talk to you about how to set up trading card templates that you can use to essentially form the foundation for your own game. So having said all that, let's get started. So to start with, what features do you want to include on your trading card? There are typically three essential pieces that nearly all trading cards have, and these are your card's name, picture, and ability. And together they make up the basic look of your trading card and will form the foundation that will let you add even more features to your cards. But now, let's get started into designing your own trading cards. Alright, so now we are within Microsoft Word. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to scroll over here to the Insert section, and then we're going to click on Shapes. You scroll down to Rectangles, and then you place your first rectangle within your document. You copy and paste. So now you got two of them right there. So now the reason we're going to do this is a lot of different cards have borders. You'll see it even within the Sorum cards that I made, things like even Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Digimon cards. A lot of them have this border around them. So now this is the basic foundation of our border. Now we're going to get into the essentials of our card. As I was mentioning earlier, there are three main components that all trading cards typically have, which is the name, the effect, and the picture. So now we're going to get started with those. So for the name, I like to go and I use a curved rectangle or the rounded corners rectangle. It looks a little something like this. But of course we're not going to make it that big. That would be a little crazy. So instead we're going to just shrink it down. We're going to place it over top here. And that is our name completed, our name box. Going to go down to rectangles again. And now we're going to move this over here. This is going to be our picture box. So that's complete now. And then we are going to just copy and paste this, or just get another rectangle. We're just going to drag this on down. And there we go. That is the basics for creating your own template, but the video does not stop here. So one of the things you can do to essentially make this easier is you can right click and then scroll down to add text. So now this essentially turns it into something like a text box. You can add words and letters and of course numbers to it as well, as you can just see I did there. So for now we're going to just write name, because we're going to come back to this. And for here we're going to do the same thing. Add text, we're going to write effect, and for here we're going to write picture. And of course you can do the same kind of thing with just about any shape. Granted, I've only tried it with those specific ones, but I believe, if I'm feeling bold, yes, you can do it with almost any of the shapes. I'm going to be really crazy and try this lightning bolt. If this actually works, I'm going to be very surprised. You can put an H in there. Oh, you can actually put the whole hello in there. Interesting. What I'm trying to say is if you have some very creative or unique card designs that you want to experiment with in Microsoft Word, but you don't know if you can add text in, you probably can. It's just one of those things where you have to orient it the right way. Regardless, I got a little off track. So now you have these different things within your card template. You have the name, picture, effect, you have the border, but it's blue. It's all blue. So now we're going to try to adjust that a little bit. So what I like to do is I like to kind of work from the outside in. So we're going to click on the border, or the back part. We're going to right click, and now we have these three things that come up: style, fill, and outline. I don't mess too much around with styles. I don't think it's that relevant when you're creating templates on Word. So instead we're going to go to outline. We're going to click this black one. As you can see, when you scroll over it, there are different colors that pop up. But for now we're just going to make this black. Now for fill, I also like to have a nice solid black fill around it. But you know, for this time, instead we're going to go with something maybe almost gray. Almost like a gray outline for that. And now we're going to do something similar with our cards. So I don't particularly want there to be an outline for the standard meat of the card, for this big blue part here. And for now, all we can really do, or all that I've really shown you how to do, is change the color of it. So I can just scroll over all these, and don't get me wrong, that's nice and all. It's essentially a very big part of the card is the color. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little trick that will definitely give your cards more of a pop. So you right click, you go to fill, and you go down to gradients. More gradients, and you click on that. And then this was already opened on my computer. But regardless, you go over here to gradient fill. So now you notice that our card is slightly a different color. So how gradients themselves work is they go, and depending on how these markers over here are positioned, it will actually change the color of our card. So now, as you'll look, I'm moving this around and the card is changing colors. So the gradients are a lot of fun to play with when you're using Word. But regardless, I'm going to let you guys have your own fun experimenting with this, because I know you guys are going to be able to come up with some crazy combinations. So, for the sake of the video, let's get back on track. So now I'm going to make this red. I'm going to make it a nice red gradient. So I'm just going to delete this one. This is also how you can add and delete gradients. This is to add a gradient, this is to delete one. But you have to click on it to kind of register it first, so I'm not going to delete that one. Instead, I'm going to make this white. So as you'll notice, this is still a little clashy, but what I like to do is I like to have a little bit of contrast. So now in between these two gradient posts, I'm going to click somewhat in the middle for both of them, so that I have this pinkish color. So now it's less clashy, but now I move this over here, I get a copy. And of course, what I'm doing, you don't 100% need to be following along. I just wanted to show you some of the examples and tips that I use. But so now your card can look a little something like this. Once you're okay with how it looks, you can just simply click back into the document, and then it looks a little bit like this. But regardless though, the blue does clash a little bit with the red, let's be real. So now in this step, I'm going to show you a very interesting feature, which is the transparency feature of different shapes. So what you're going to do is similar to the gradient, but a little bit different. You're going to click right click on shape, you're going to go down to fill, you're going to open up the gradient section, go to more gradients, and now you'll notice that we're here in the fill section. So instead of going down to gradient fill, what we're going to do is we're going to hit transparency. So you'll notice it's becoming ever so slightly see-through. That's what we want. We're going for that effect. So let's say we're going to put it to something we can easily remember, like 30. 30. And got a little carried away there. And now let's put this color to something very neutral like gray. And then now we have that, and also I just of course have to adjust the outline. I'm going to make that black. So now that's coming along rather nicely. We're going to do the exact same thing to the effect part in the bottom. So we're going to go down to fill, gradients, more gradients, transparency once again, put that to 30. And then we set the color once again. Now everything is starting to come together. And now, just for the sake of time, because I really would like this to essentially be official, we're going to put in the picture as well. So now I'm going to do this with a little help from one of the fighters that I'm working on for the newest set, Eliza. So I'm just going to go, I'm going to quickly pull up that picture. There's a lot in here. Please mind how jumbled it is. I do know it's a mess. Anyways, now we've got that up. And you just kind of stretch it to the size that you want. What I'm actually going to do for this, just for time's sake, is I'm actually going to get rid of the box outline here, get rid of the box fill. Instead, I'm going to actually place a nice border around my picture. You can do this by double-clicking, and it opens up this format section at the top. So now you can find different borders. I personally like the simple black frame. I must find, there it is, my box. It's a little hard to find when it's, you know, invisible, essentially. And then I can just move this up over here. There we go. but I'm not 100% fond of how this shadow is kind of creeping out, or even the thickness of the border for that matter. So I'm going to click on it again, double click. We're going to go down, pardon me, to picture border. We're going to click on weight, and this allows us to adjust the weight. And as you can see, the higher up you go, the thicker the border gets. The farther down you go, the thinner the border gets. So right now we're just going to go to a nice 1.5. Double click, and now we're going to go to picture effects. So you'll notice it says shadow. We're going to click on no shadow. Now everything is nice and lined up and orderly, and for the most part, this is it. You have the name of your fighter, you have the picture, and then you have the effect. So from this point forward, you can essentially customize it the way you want and come up with different possibilities and combinations. And I'm actually going to show you a few different things that you can do within the next segment in this video. So let's get right into it. And now, as you can see from the document, during that little time break, I decided to do my own experimentation and come up with a few other features for our cards. Say, for instance, there's a little gauge that you can use for your card, maybe like a counter gauge or a counter. You have a little vocation section that maybe describes where this person's from. You have the symbol here that shows maybe what kind of element they are, what kind of card they are even. You have different stats for your card. And really, this is the fun part. Now that you've come up with this basic design here, you have the name, picture, and effect. What you want to add or even take away from your card is really your choice. So with that, I hope that you do some lovely experimenting in Microsoft Word and come up with your own amazing cards and templates and just use this as a great way to get started. But anyways, everyone, that is all the time that I have for today. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And frankly, I hope that this has also helped you learn a lot more about Microsoft Word. It is really tricky to get started with Microsoft Word. I've seen the memes where Microsoft Word, me tries to move something 2 inches to the right, Microsoft Word. So I 100% understand that this software can be really tricky to get into. But anyways, though, I hope it all helped, and I hope all of you have an amazing time using it. Goodbye, everyone.